Hi everyone, my name's Spencer and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you my November bullet journal setup. So the theme I chose to base my bullet journal spreads off this month is the film The Nightmare Before Christmas, because I couldn't really decide if this film was a Halloween film or a Christmas film, so I figured why not make it the theme for November to bridge the gap between October and December, i.e. Halloween and Christmas. And since I'm not doing NaNoWriMo this year, I decided it would be the perfect theme for November. I'm starting off as usual by doing my cover page for this month. I decided to base this cover page off of the cover for the film and all the posters, that infamous image of Jack standing on top of the hill. It's so iconic that I thought it was the perfect way to start off November. I decided to also use a font inspired by Nightmare Before Christmas, so I did that in order to write November in stacked letters down the side. And I think that works better than writing it horizontally anywhere. It just creates a slight divide. Is that the word I'm looking for? I'm not entirely sure. After creating the title down the side, I decided to go in with my 0.1 Spectrum artliner, Spectrum Noir artliner, and do all the details of the wall that goes down the side of the image. And then I went in with a slightly thicker 02 from my unipin fineliner collection, just to do the hill and the other lines. I then decided that I was going to try and use a different medium this month, and that is the acrylographs from Archer and Olive. I had never used them before other than to swatch them, and I thought I would give them a go. As you can see, I'm starting off here by just colouring in the moon. It was nice and simple. I'm starting from the border and then working in, because initially I was gonna recreate how it looks in the image by having it white in the middle and then blending out to yellow, but I decided to make it a little easier on myself and just do the whole thing yellow. So I left a little outline around my little Jack figure in white, so he kind of stood out a bit more, but also because I have the 3mm nibbed acrylographs and I didn't trust myself to be able to get in close enough without just completely covering up my Jack image. Then it was on to filling in the hill or mountain, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a hill. I used 3 different acrylographs for this. I used this shade, which was the darkest acrylograph, a mid-tone shade, which was honestly the bane of my life. You'll see in a minute why exactly. And then I also used a lighter shade for the highlights until I put the white gel pen over the top. So I was having no problems with my acrylographs at this point. The yellow was working fine, the dark blue was working fine, and then this one it just would not work no matter what I did. I shook it for the correct amount of time, I pressed it down, made sure the nib was activated, and it just would not work. It was kind of just pushing excess paint around rather than actually depositing more on the page when I needed it to. So it was a real pain in the butt. I basically ended up having to just keep flipping the nib over, like pulling it out and using the other end, and then like pushing the paint around, because I could not get it to work any other way. And I didn't have this problem with the other pens I was using, so I was really confused as to why it was doing this. I don't think it was my fault, but maybe you watching this and you have experience with acrylographs, maybe you know what I did wrong, and if so, please let me know, because I want to be able to use these properly. For this hill, I basically just blocked out the shapes where we had the darkest, the lightest, and the mid-tone. Yeah, filled in all of those spaces. I wasn't 100% happy with this, so I decided to just fill in the title and come back, take a little break and then come back to it. When I did come back to it, I decided that I would use some of the fineliner ends of my hobbycraft pens to draw the textured lines that you can see in the inspiration picture, in the poster of it, like the film cover. So I spent some time drawing those in. Unfortunately, you can't see them on camera, but they are there in real life and they do help it look more cohesive. So I'm sorry that they're not showing up brilliantly on camera. The acrylographs kind of reflected all the light from my from my ring light, and then yeah, it was kind of impossible to see the tiny details that I did over it. I also decided that this page wasn't tied together enough, so I drew some dark lines around the moon, hoping that would help tie it in, but then that wasn't enough, so I decided to kind of almost do like a faux Dutch door. So this page isn't actually cut, but I created a border and then filled in that space. My camera stopped working for some reason, have no idea why. But yeah, so I just used that same pen that I'd used to do the details on the hill. I used that to colour in like the skyline and tie it all together. And I tried not to freak out with these markers, like you can kind of see the overlap between the pens, because it kind of reminded me of that Van Gogh version of this image. So I thought it was quite cool to have like a little nod to that, so I decided I quite liked it. So next up is my monthly spread. It's inspired by the way someone had illustrated on coasters. They drew like the Nightmare Before Christmas characters and then had like these kind of scribbles behind them fading out, and I really liked that. So I decided to replicate that for my monthly and create a border around the whole thing. Also create a box for me to put like my monthly to-dos in so I can keep checking back and referring to them. Again, I just used that Nightmare Before Christmas font across the top to the days of the week and then did long narrow numbers for the dates. And that was it, that's all I did. This next page also took me forever. So these are the acrylographs that I'm going to use for this particular spread. This is for my habit spread. I decided I wanted it to be inspired by Sally's dress, so I decided to draw a bunch of patches and then have my habit trackers inside of them. So I used a bunch of different acrylographs for them. They will be listed in the description down below, don't worry. I know I only showed you quickly here the list, but they will be listed down below in the description. So yeah, I basically just filled in all these patches, had some overlapping, some on top. I also had this one plain one because I really liked this dark purple colour, so I decided that that would just be on the top and coloured in because it looked really pretty. I tried to keep the palette as like desaturated as I could because in the typical Tim Burton style everything is kind of more muted, so I tried to use the more muted colours from the collections, so no bright colour. I know a lot of like the Sally merch and stuff, she's dressed more vibrantly, but I was going film inspo on this, so yeah, that's what I did. You can see I'm kind of leaving, I didn't do this on the first patch, but on some of the others I've actually left space for the stitches, like where that will go, because I wasn't sure how the acrylograph would work over itself or how the Posca paint pens, which is what I ended up using, would work over the acrylograph, so I kind of left space for a lot of them. I tried to make sure that the colours were kind of evenly spaced out and there was a decent number of all of them. And again, like I didn't really have any problems with these pens when it came to activating them and making them work, so I really don't know why that other one didn't. So again, if anyone knows why that particular one wasn't working, I am all ears, please help me. Yeah, I did use this kind of brighter red, but I go in a little bit and add like some patterns on top of it so that it's less bright, kind of knock it back a little bit because I thought it was a bit too bright. So I'm just using this empty space down here to create the title for this page essentially, so that's like stitched into another one. So as you can see, I used my Posca paint pen to do the stitches. Part of me is kind of wishing that I'd used something else, maybe just a Sharpie or something. It doesn't look bad, I just wonder if maybe they're a bit too thick and bold. I'm not sure. I don't hate it, and I'll absolutely use this spread because I love it so much. But yeah, I do wonder if maybe there was a better choice there. So I'm doing my usual mood and pain setup. which is literally just 2 columns, one side for mood, one side for pain, and then I just do doodles out from the middle at the scale of my mood and the pain level, so I can see any correlation between the two. And I styled this page after Oogie Boogie. So I have a kind of burlap background and then black stitches for the lettering and the numbers and down the middle, and I'm actually drawing little bugs for the scale, so I'm drawing little beetles and little like centipedes, millipedes to document the level of pain I was in or how high my mood was that day. And the final spread that I'm going to show you guys is my first weekly spread. I decided to go back to the black and white, kind of the more Jack themed page after the Sally page. So it kind of goes colourful, black and white, colourful, black and white. I think I'll do Sally patches for the next week, which I'll show you when I upload my weeklies to Instagram. Basically used an index card to create those straight lines in between, and I could just scribble and bump up against the page, and that worked really well. I did make a mistake on this page, so I cut up a bit of that already used index card and covered it over so that it looked much better. I would usually do a faux Dutch door thing, but I am seriously running out of space, so I did this spread instead. So here's the final flip through. Here is my cover page, my monthly page, my habits and mood and pain tracker, and the first weekly spread for the... Thanks for watching everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to give it a like, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so we can hang out some more. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!